Quick snap! In this quick snap, we go back to a lost episode of zone dive cut-ups that I previously posted on my teaching YouTube channel a few years ago. No matter how hard I try to get these quick snaps to be somewhere around 15 minutes or less, I end up getting closer to 20 minutes. I just end up having fun, sharing how we go about coaching things up. I get excited seeing our guys execute what we've coached them to do at a really high level. And in an effort to get this going, short and sweet introduction, Zone Dive offers a Flexbone Option Offense, an answer to an inside linebacker that is quickly trying to scrape exchange to the perimeter. It's an easy play to install because from the backside tackle to the play side guard, everyone's running the exact same rules and techniques they'd use for inside veer. The only zone element in the play is between the play side tackle and play side slot as they sort out the normal dive key on Inside Veer Triple, whether that's a 4, 5, or 6 technique, up to the linebacker that you're trying to make pay for quickly scraping to the perimeter. So without any further talking, let's get into the playbook and let's get into some film. As always, let's talk about what the play looks like, give you a visualization of it, and also I'm going to try my best to explain how we go about coaching up both inside veer and zone dive. First off, inside veer and zone dive, they're identical for the play side guard back to that backside tackle. Play side guard is reaching the B gap. Center is scooping the play side A gap. Backside guard is scooping the backside A gap, and the backside tackle is scooping the backside B gap. Fullback on both zone dive and inside veer is aiming for that guard, and he is reading an action key, the first defender to the play side in that 2 technique on this diagram. If that 2 technique really works hard into the B gap, he's going to bend behind it. If the guard can get that 2 technique reached, the fullback's going to stay and bang right ahead in the B gap. Where the zone element comes into play is with the play side tackle and the play side slot. Play side tackle is power veering through the B gap, and the play side slot is scraping tight to the outside hip of that play side tackle, looking to rip his outside arm and shoulder pad through the nutsack of the 5 technique. What my head coach does, he'll run a tackle slot pod where he's got the linebacker and the 4 or 5 technique, and he's just signaling, all right, 5 technique goes inside, play side tackle washes him on the power veer, owns the B gap, and the play side slot fits tight off that tackle's hip to get the scraping linebacker. Or the other look where the 5 techniques straight up the field, as I already mentioned, and the play side tackle can stay on his track. Meanwhile, I'm coaching the guard center guard pod, typically with a fullback coach, sometimes a quarterback coach, and I'm making sure those guys take care of their 3 defenders that they can get blocked. The backside A, the play side A, and the play side B gap defenders, and again giving quick signals of where the defense is going to fit. Against an odd front, we're anticipating as a Flexbone team that 4 technique, pinching and squeezing quite a bit from this front to take away the fullback dive, so that play side tackle is really anticipating his power veer, while the play side slot is again riding the hip of that play side tackle, and they're both just taking the first thing that crossed their path. 4 techniques inside, wash them down as the tackle. Slot, keep climbing. If the 9 techniques just straight up the field, it basically could turn into an outside veer where the fullback's going to bounce just a little bit out to the C gap. Against a 4-4 look, more of the same. Power veer through the B gap, ride the tackle's outside hip, make sure you take care of the C gap. And lastly, odd stack look. Once again, that fullback is going to read what happens as far as the block. A little bit more important against this front. With the 3 technique, we ask our guard to initially step to try and reach that 3 technique. Most of the time, a decent 3 technique is not going to get reached, so that guard's just going to kick him out. Fullback sees that. Instead of banging the B gap, he's going to bend and hit the A gap. Really important in our guard center guard pod that backside guard and that center are taking care of their A-gaps. If that zero technique comes at the guard's going to overtake it and reach it. If that zero technique hangs on our center at all, the center's going to keep reaching it, and that backside guard would climb to the middle linebacker there. We have had, at times, our fullback actually cut back behind that nose. I'll see if I can find video of that. I don't think I have any coming up. First dive cut up is against a 4-3. We're going at a 3 technique. You're going to see the fullback bend into the A-gap. We're mixing this up. We'll go both rocket action where the quarterback reverse pivots out, and we'll go with a veer action where the quarterback steps straight to the fullback. We just make a quick hand signal for, really it's the quarterback and the fullback are the only two guys who got to know that. The rest of the guys, they're block and dive. You see the guard kick the 3 technique out, fullback bends behind it and falls in for the touchdown. End zone shot will really let you see that bend behind the 3 technique coming up here. So that guard is taking his near foot and putting it through the crotch of that 3 technique with the mindset of, all right, if that 3 technique does spike inside, I'm going to get a reach on this guy. I'll redirect with my inside foot. If he doesn't, I'm in great position to just keep kicking him out. 3 techniques in the B gap, guard kicks him out, fullback bends behind it, and again we go in for that touchdown. Coming with rocket action again. Our center and our backside tackle, our center and our right tackle, do not scoop towards the play side. This is week 2, something we had to get cleaned up. So that causes our fullback to really kind of make a more drastic bend than what we want. You'll see it on the end zone clip here. That center should be working that play side A-gap cylinder and be looking for the linebacker there. He does get to that middle linebacker. You see our tackle kind of got lost. And that's more of a drastic cut than we really want. Take it back for a second. That's a little bit more of a drastic bend than we typically want out of our fullback. He probably aims a little bit wide. Again, it's week 2, I believe. And we're a little wide and end up cutting back. Another rocket dive. Showed this in a previous video. We hit the B gap really nicely. We get a good reach by the guard, and we're downhill for about a 14-yard gain. Real good by the tackle slot right now. Slot's going to get his shoulder pad nice and low on the hip of that 5 technique, maybe 6 technique. He's pretty wide. Play side tackle's looking inside because that outside linebacker is honoring the rocket or the veer fake that we have coming from the quarterback and the pitch back. Meanwhile, you see our center and guard hip to hip, taking care of that 2 technique. You see a pretty good scoop by our backside tackle, more so our backside guard than our backside tackle. Another one, really good low pad level out of our slot Levi. Lets our fullback hit it downhill. Again, this was in a previous video where I was talking about running inside veer to a 4-3 stack, and we're mixing up zone dive with rocket and inside veer to really put that stack in conflict. Again, nice wall by our big guys, Cole and Rick, and our backside guard, Davion, giving the fullback a track to hit. Now we go against an odd front, 5-2 type look. Still a rocket. This is the first of 5 straight dives, 5 straight rocket dives is what we call in. Right here you get a really good power veer out of our play side tackle. That 4 technique is squeezed into the inside, so we're going to work a down block. Our slot could have lower pad level, but he's making sure he's taking care of the C gap. And our fullback hits it again. So this is 2 straight plays. We're going to go with dive again. It's been good. Our fullback's running hard. He's having fun. We're winning the lineman challenge up front. Again, we got that power veer out of our tackle. The backside linebacker this time makes it over the top. Still fall forward for about a 4-yard gain. Come back right again. You see the 4 technique pinching inside. Our tackle washes him just enough. Our guard, I believe, does a nice job of washing the linebacker out, does enough to trip up our fullback just short of the end zone. We just let Jay run the ball 4 times. Our linemen up front are having fun. They signaled over, wanted another dive. We exerted our authority. Here we go against a 4-4 look. I think we're going to get this, I'd call it a 2 technique. We're going to get him reached. We got our tackle, doesn't have to wash anything down, keeps that linebacker pinned inside, and we hit the B gap hard. Up on the safety, always a good situation when the safety's making tackles 10 yards downfield. Another look against a 4-4. A tight 3 technique, I guess I'd call it this time. We almost, the fullback peeked at banging the A-gap for a second, but the linebacker, is into that A-gap, and we get so much movement at the point of attack, pretty sure that's Big Cole, that we get a nice big gain, staying right on tracks. Good job by our slot and tackle there. Get to the end zone shot and talk a little bit more in detail. So they stem their front late. They give us the 1 technique or 2-eye. Our guard completely washes him. Our tackle slot pod's good. Slots through the inside half. Could be a little lower pad level, but he's taking care of his gap. The tackle has washed the scraping linebacker across. Fortunately, that scraping linebacker put his foot in the ground, came back, and made the tackle, so it didn't go for a bigger gain. Good scoop on the backside. I like that. And heck of a run by our fullback, Jay. So here we go at a 3 technique. 3 technique gets kicked out. Fullback sees that, bends it back, hits the A-gap, cuts back hard enough that the backside linebacker misses the tackle. We'll go back and let you see that one more time, full speed, without me pausing it. So again, he's reading real quick here. All right, kicked out, bend it back. Backside linebacker overruns it, breaks another tackle. Nice, about 20-yard gain. Here we got a 3-0-3 look. Pretty sure we're going to have a 5-2 box. 5-3-ish box. So we did let our guards and tackles. Right now, the B-gap power veer that our tackle's working is already occupied. And then the guard's rule of reach or kick, a 3 technique, is already in place. What we could coach a little better on this particular play is that guard having eyes for that middle linebacker who almost makes it on the run through there. We'll get to the end zone shot. This was actually a pretty good shot without being on the end zone camera. So we end up in the C gap here because the B gap's occupied. So our guard should still step there. He's got to keep his shoulders square and have eyes to protect his A gap there as we're working our scoops there. Our center really and our backside guard are chasing things that don't necessarily have to be chased by them. Our center should be scooping that play side A gap. Our backside guard should be scooping the backside A gap, which will let us really pound on this double team a little bit more, and our guard wouldn't have to adjust his rules as much while we let the backside tackle cut down the backside 3 technique. Nice job bouncing out by our fullback there. And that should be an easy read. I mean, it's a closed B gap, so you're either bouncing out to C or bending into A. So now, same team, they go to a 4-4 tight look or 6-2 look where they got double 2 eyes, double 4 eyes. Great job by our offensive tackle, Billy, here. He's going to work a down block on his power veer. Takes and puts his outside shoulder, gets his face mask in front, keeps penetration from happening. Our slot, you see his hand sticking out. He's trying to ride the hip of his offensive tackle. He gets up, pins the linebacker inside. Fullback hits the C gap. Pretty much a walk-in. We'll watch it one more time. So we got scoops, backside tackle to guard. Our play side guard and center are double in that play side 2-eye. Nice job riding the scoops on the backside. And again, we pretty much walk it in. Here we go again. I think we hit C-gap. And this is a potential answer instead of running outside veer if you don't want to take the time to coach the reading of that. Our guard there on the right, pretty sure that's Davion, does a nice job of owning the 3 technique. It's a pretty tight 3 technique. He gets him reach. The 3 technique's working inside just a little bit. Our tackle Billy's up to the linebacker, and we're going to go in for a nice long touchdown. Again, very similar to outside veer at times because it can end up hitting in the C-gap. Here's one time we do get stopped, and we'll get to the end zone clip and talk about why. So first off, we went with a double invert just on the goal line. It's 4th and 1. We're trying to get into the end zone. We need our offensive tackle to step flat like he did on the touchdown a couple plays ago and take his outside shoulder and rip it across the face of that 4-eye and prevent the B-gap penetration. That ultimately stops the play. If our tackle's just a little flatter, our fullback slides out to the C-gap and he follows the double insert in for the touchdown. So a little bit short, unfortunately. Last couple clips. 4-3 look. Outside linebacker has to honor the pitch. We actually bounce this all the way out to C-gap. Great job by our slot. He realizes that the dive key is right there. Again, we're not reading it. He's just washing and staying tight to his tackle. We hit that C-gap downhill and are making the defense honor that inside threat of the fullback. I think our quarterback was actually yelling over at Coach, hey, let's run inside veer. I can pull that and get it out to the edge. Double insert ends up being a little better. We bang in the B-gap, and we're up into the secondary with our fullback Jay. Last clip here, 2 clips. We're going to end up in the B-gap. Incredible job by both our tackle and slot getting underneath the 4 technique almost. And our fullback Zach gets a nice 8-yard gain, picks up the first down. Here we go. We're going to bang in the B-gap. Our play side tackle opened up the 5 technique. Our slot got underneath them too. And we're putting our fullback up on the safety. Heck of a play, really, by that safety to come down and make the tackle. Probably key in our slot inserting. And one more look at the pad level by our slot. Levi, Cole's winning his battle. And we're running the linebacker over for about an 8-yard gain. Check out the end zone clip. Here we go. We got our wall built with our linemen, Matt and Cole. We got scoops on the backside with Brandon and Davion and Billy. And we got our slot, really good pad level, winning that. That's just textbook out of him, falling forward. So quick recap of zone dive. It's a very effective play within the Flexbone Option Offense because it forces that inside linebacker that's trying to scrape to the keep on inside veer or the pitch or trying to pursue to rocket, forces him to be So recapping, zone dive offers the Flexbone Option Offense a way to capitalize when an inside linebacker is quickly scraping outside to fit the keep or the pitch on inside veer triple or to pursue rocket toss. It also is a very simple, easy play to add because 4 of the offensive linemen from the backside tackle to the play side guard are blocking things exactly like they would if they were blocking inside veer. The only zone element within the play is between the play side tackle and the play side slot as they're zoning the typical dive key, that 4 or 5 technique, up to the linebacker that's trying to scrape to the outside. Thanks for checking out this quick snap on coaching football with Brian Klee. Please follow me on Twitter at Coach Klee. Subscribe to the channel, Coaching Football with Brian Klee, by clicking down below. And if you have any further follow-up questions, email me at coachbrienklee@gmail.com.